What do you do with all these hex wrenches? If you have a couple of 3D printer kits, you know that these hex wrenches start to multiply, and I have a ton of them. Now I know the easiest thing to do would be to throw some of them away, I just can't bring myself to do it. So I need an easy way of organizing these where it's easy to find the size you need, but it's not hard to put them away, like they don't have to go in each specific slot, because if that's the case, I'm never going to do it. Now if only there was an additive manufacturing method that was cheap and pretty easy to do. So you guessed it, we're going to 3D print a solution. Now there's two main areas that I 3D print in, this one and the print farm area over there. So I'll need a couple of these racks. And there's some criteria that I want to meet. It has to be easy to use. I have to be able to find the right size wrench when I need it. I have to be able to quickly put that wrench back or I'll never do it. It has to be pretty easy to 3D print, and it has to hold a lot of wrenches because I have a lot of the same size that I don't really want to get rid of. Now I don't want to get carried away here. The simplest solution for me is usually the best one. And I'm going to start this whole thing off with I don't know a whole lot about Fusion 360. I don't know how to use it properly, but I do know how to get things done in it. And that's kind of the whole point of this video. You don't have to know a whole lot about Fusion or CAD software to make it useful. So you should definitely give it a try. With all that said, let's get into Fusion and make a useful print. So we're in Fusion, and I'm going to start this by apologizing for all the noise. I'm over in the desk area by the print farm, and there's roughly 6 3D printers running all at the same time right now. So there might be a little background noise. So let's start off. Let's turn origin on. Let's grab a rectangle, and we'll hit the Z origin. And let's make this thing about 200 millimeters long and 80 millimeters tall. And we'll stop that sketch, and let's click on it, and we'll extrude it out. You can go to Create, Extrude, or hit the letter E, and let's bring it out 6 millimeters. So again, I don't want to get carried away here. I just want enough to keep the wrenches separate, but I need about 6 different slots. That's about how many different sizes I use, 1.5 through 5 millimeter. And my idea is I've got some 10 millimeter round magnets I'm going to use to hold the wrenches on. Now this will probably magnetize that wrench, but I really don't see that as an issue at this time. So let's keep it simple. Let's get another rectangle. We're going to draw on the face of this body. We'll start up here in the corner. Let's drag down the whole thing, 80 millimeters, and we'll do 2 millimeters wide. Stop that sketch, and let's extrude this out. So we'll hit E, and let's extrude that out 3 millimeters, but over here we don't want to join it yet. Let's make it a new body. So we'll hit OK. So we have a bit of a ledge there. That's good. Now we need 6 different wrench sizes, so we need 6 different compartments. So let's go to Create, Pattern, Pattern on Path. And we're going to do bodies. Let's do select this new body we made, and then select the path. That'll be this line right here. And we can drag this out. By default, it's going to do 3. We need 6 compartments, so we're going to need 7 altogether. So let's do 7. And this whole thing is 200 millimeters, and these are 2 millimeters wide. So the distance to get over to that corner will be 198. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and hit OK. And now we've got our compartments. Now that the pattern is done, we can go ahead and combine this as one body. So if you come over here to Bodies and expand that, here's all the bodies we created. Here's all your sketches that you created. They're currently off. More on that in a second. So let's do Modify, Combine, and I'm going to select the target body, the base, and then total bodies, we're going to perform a join. I'm going to select this body, number 2, hit Shift, and body number 8. That's 7 bodies selected. Go ahead and hit OK. And now we have one total body with all these bodies combined. So we're good. Let's go back to the top view. Now here's where best practices kind of fall apart. You're supposed to use constraints and things like that to be able to tell where you are. I think that takes too much time for quick items like this, so I just use lines. So I like to know where the center of my model is, and I'm also going to want to know the center of each one of these compartments so I can line things up roughly. So all I do is grab a line. I want to draw on this body, and then if you go down the side of this till you get to roughly the middle, you're going to see a blue triangle. And when you hit that blue triangle, that means you're in the center. So go ahead and click that. And you come all the way over here to the other side. You see the triangle again. We're in the center. And we've gone all the way through that model. Now you can turn that sketch on and off as you like, but that's a good solid center line that you can use for other things. Now I want to do the same thing inside this compartment. So to get the center of this, I'm going to draw a line starting here at the corner. I'm going to sketch it over here to this corner. And then I'm just going to automatically sketch it back, and it's going to let me see the center line of that new line right there. So we'll click there. That's the center point. And then we can drag this line all the way to the bottom, and we'll mark another center right there. Now we have a center line for each one of the compartments. Again, you can turn them off, turn them on. And stop sketch. We're good. So we've got our main rack body, and we know where the center is. Let's go to Sketch and create some holes for the magnets. So I'm going to do a circle, but I'm going to do a 2-point circle. And we're going to sketch on this body. And I'm going to start the first point of the circle right in the center, but I'm going to move it. Those magnets are 10 millimeters round. I'm going to do these at 10.3 just to give them a little room, and I'm going to glue them in anyway. So that's good. And now I can move this sketch around. So if I go to Modify, I can go to Move. And we're going to move Object, which is a sketch. I'm going to select my sketch. And I'm just going to move it up here a little. We're just going to eyeball this one. And maybe right there. Well, let's move it back a little. That's good. How about right there? That looks good. I like that. Okay. And I'm going to do 4 of these because I might have a ton of these little wrenches, maybe not so many of the big ones. But I'm going to do 4 anyway, so it's easier to catch my wrench if I just kind of toss it at it. So the easiest thing for me to do, I'm going to click on this hole sketch. I'm going to hit E to extrude, and I'm going to cut a hole in the body with it. So those magnets are 3 millimeters high. I'm just going to hit -3. That'll go the opposite. You can see over here it flips to cut. So we'll hit OK. Now we can take this hole and use it as a face to pattern more holes. So let's go to Create. We'll go to Pattern, Rectangle Pattern. We're on Faces. I'm going to select the inside of this hole as the face. And then over here, I want a quantity of 2 left and right and 2 up and down. So we can select our directions. We'll click here. I'm going to turn the sketches back on so I can see my lines. This is my first direction. This is my second direction. We'll change these back now that I changed the direction. 2 and 2. So let's drag one over here. Let's zoom in a little so we can see that. Again, I'm just going to guess. Whatever looks right. I like 12.5 for that one. And let's drag this one out. And I think 12 millimeter looks pretty good for that. So let's go ahead and hit OK. Looks good. Now we have 4 spots to glue a magnet in. So we'll back out. Let's go back to Home and get recentered. We'll go back to Top. Now I want to repeat all these for all these different chambers. So let's lean it out just a little bit so we can see the face. Let's go back to Pattern. Pattern on a path this time. We're going to do Faces. Select. I'm going to select all 4 of these faces for these magnet holes. I'm going to select my path as my center line. And then I'm just going to drag these out. And I need 6 total. So let's change this to 6. And we'll keep dragging out. Again, I'm just going to eyeball it. I know the OCD is probably getting really bad, but this is how I do it. So I like that. Looks good. Let's make it a nice even 165. What do you think? I like it. Hit OK. Now we've got all the magnet holes in all the chambers. Now I'm going to use just regular wood screws to screw this down to the shelf. So let's make a couple of screw holes. Let's go to Sketch. Let's go to Circle. We'll do the center point circle. We'll draw on this body. And we can center it here, but really its location doesn't make a whole lot of difference to me. If you really wanted to get accurate, you could draw a line here and measure it a bit. Let's say it's 8 millimeter. And then you could take your circle. Let's do that. So center point right there, 8 millimeters out. We're going to make a 5 millimeter hole. That fits a wood screw pretty well. And then we're going to make this a through hole. So let's do E to extrude. Let's select our hole. If you leave your lines on, you'll have to select both sides. Let's do -6. That's how thick the base is. That'll cut a hole straight through. We're good. Now let's copy this. We'll do 4 all the way around the body. So let's do create, pattern, rectangular pattern. We'll keep it on faces. We'll select this face. And we're going to select the directions. We want 1 vertical, 2 horizontal. So quantity is 2 and 2. And then we can drag these out. This whole body is 80. This is 8 millimeters in. This is 8 millimeters in. So this one's going to roughly be 64 away from the other one. And on this side, it's going to be center line with these magnet holes, which that's roughly good enough. Again, we don't have to be perfect. And let's call that good. Those are going to be flathead wood screws, so let's put some fillet on these holes so they're flush. So let's go to modify, we'll do fillet. We'll select all 4 of these holes. And let's pull these down until we're satisfied. It's probably a little much. Let's do 3 millimeter. That's good. And let's add some fillet to make it a little more smooth transition in between these walls and the magnet keepers. So let's go to modify fillet again. I'm going to select this inside line, the bottom one here, and I'm going to select all of these. Let's drag it out until it looks right. How about 11.5? That looks pretty good. And then we'll do the other side. You can go up here to do fillet, or you can just hit F. We'll select all these. 11.5, looking good. Alright, let's go back to the top view. This is pretty much what I had in mind. This should be pretty easy to use. Now there's one more thing I want to do. Because I have 6 different sizes, might as well go ahead and label them. Now text isn't the easiest thing to do in Fusion. But if you go to Sketch, you can go to Text, and then we can type some stuff in. So we'll just select this face, and we can type in our text here. The smallest size I use is 1.5, and it never fails that it comes in upside down. So we'll just 180 this. And we can stop that sketch. And let's move this sketch. You can hit M, or you can come up here to modify and hit move. We'll select sketch. I'll select this text. We'll move it down some. And let's put our decimal point here right in the center of the center line. About right there. That looks good. And let's snap a line so we can line all the numbers up like this. So let's go to sketch, grab a line, click on the body. We'll just put the line right through the bottom of this number, all the way over to the other side of the body. And now we have a rough area where to put the rest of the numbers. So we can stop that sketch, and let's create the rest of our numbers. So sketch, text. And I'm just going to create them all first, and then line them up later. So 2.0, we'll do 2.5, sketch, text, 3.0, not dot, 4.0, and 5.0. Okay, so we're close, but I still need to move some of these around to kind of straighten them up. So we'll just use the move tool, modify move, we'll move sketch. This one needs to come over just a little bit. Same with 2.5, 3.0, 4.0, I got kind of close. And then we'll line up 5.0. There we go, I'm happy with that. Now you can either extrude these numbers to give them some character, or you could cut them into the body. I prefer to cut them in. So let's do extrude, we'll do E, and we'll select all of our numbers. And let's inset them 3 millimeters, so -3. Automatically takes us to cut, we'll hit OK. We can turn our sketches off. And that looks like a hex key rack to me. So we only have one body, so it should be pretty easy to print. Let's go to Make, 3D Print, uncheck the 3D Print utility, we'll just save it as STL, hit OK. We'll save it as hex key rack. And from there, we can bring it into Slick 3R. Looks good. We can do a quick slice to test it out and make sure everything's okay. Do a preview. Looks good to me. Now let's print it. And here it is. Let's take a look. For a first attempt, I think it came out great. This is just some PLA. I think it's dazzle green. The wood screws I'm going to use, they fit pretty good in here. Maybe a little more fillet on that hole, but not bad at all. A nice fit. And the magnets I'm going to use fit perfect. So now I'm just going to glue a bunch of these in here. And done. Let's screw this down to the shelf right about there. Looks good. Let's throw stuff at it. And I've 3D printed my way out of another one. Now again, I'm sure there's a lot better ways to do this in Fusion and a lot better designs, but that's not the point. The point is, if you have an idea, there are tools available to help you make that a reality. Even if that idea is not functional, just go ahead and create it. Who knows where that could go in the future? I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing to my channel. If not, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.